Hi friends! So, welcome back first of all. Second of all, these videos are going to be more of a mess than normal because my program is not letting me upload videos after editing it, so I would add like titles or music and it just won't work, and I've tried everything and I'm done with the struggle, at least for the next few days, or at least the next few weeks, because I don't want to struggle with it anymore. It's upsetting. So you're gonna need a lot of weird little faces and pauses and lots of and I'm hoping I can get rid of the like in real life so I don't have to edit those out anymore. Excuse my one band-aid finger. So yes, there might be cats jumping on the bed, cats jumping behind me, lots of things, lots of stuff, just because my life's a disaster. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So this video marks the beginning of a series that I'd like to do of books that are just a big yikes, whether it's like critically or by fans. So the first book that I read was a challenge by my friend Chandler, and I hate you for this, Chandler, and I hate that I read this whole thing, all 558 pages of it, and I also hate that I made a vlog for it and now all that footage is gone because of my editing program crapping out on me. So the book is Gray by E.L. James. It is told from the perspective of Christian Grey, if you couldn't tell, and I hated every minute of it. Somehow, and this makes me really mad, I was able to get through this entire book and I wasn't able to get through Wicked. And I think it's just because Wicked is well written, even if it was poorly executed, and I think those are the worst books. This book, I knew going into it, it was going to be terrible. And I screamed in just agony throughout most of it. The most fun part about reading this book was that I would send random pages of it to my friend Chandler, because if I was going to suffer, he was going to suffer too. So, but he didn't have to read the whole thing. There was just great lines in it, this was all in the vlog that I just can't find. He had a wet dream and he says, "I've come for Team USA," because he's all covered in semen. I'm sorry, this is not safe for work, by the way, if you didn't know. Also, if you don't know anything about 50 Shades of Grey, it is about a girl named Anastasia Steele, and she goes to the city of Seattle to interview Christian Grey, and he's a multi-millionaire and he has lots of money, and he's an enigma. Nobody can really figure him out. And it turns out he likes, I don't want to call it BDSM because it's not really. I mean, anybody who's read a good fan fiction knows that the stuff that takes place in this book, sexually speaking, is not BDSM. It's just, there's something wrong with you. And there's nothing wrong with people in BDSM community. You like what you like, do what you want, as long as it doesn't like emotionally or physically hurt other people intentionally, or animals for that matter. And so like, she is very innocent, very naive, and he really likes that about her. And this started out as Twilight fan fiction. Christian Grey as Edward and Anastasia Steele as Bella. And I felt that. I felt that a lot, because when I read Twilight, I was like, wait, what does Bella look like again? And then when I would read this, the only thing he would note about Anastasia Steele was she had blue eyes, and then the rest was about her beautiful alabaster skin and her long, long legs and her perfect ass and her perfect breasts. And proportionally speaking, I don't know how she existed, because like that, she sounds like a Barbie doll, and that's not, I don't know why I'm looking for realism in a book like this, but still. So the writing in this was just bad. It was just bad. I would send pages to my friend Chandler, and he'd be like, this is the worst. And he doesn't read a lot of books. That's also why I was reading this. I was reading for his sake, so he could suffer while I suffered. But some of these lines are just comical, and there's no reason why it has to be so thick. why is this thick? Why there's a good chunk of this is just him talking about his business. Great, cool. I know you do business. I don't need it every 30 seconds when you're trying to not have a hard on thinking about Anastasia Steele. And also, for that matter, anything she did, anytime she touched him or looked at him, he had an instant hard on. You need a doctor. You need a doctor. You need a good doctor, because that sounds unhealthy. And also, like, he was seeing a therapist. He mentioned him at the beginning of the book, and he would mention him like a few times in like the book, and this is over the course of a month. And when you're having like really bad PTSD dreams and things like that, you need to be in intensive therapy. I mean, I've gone to therapy. I've been in intensive therapy. Like, he needs it. He needs it more than anybody else, and he has the money and the means to do it. So, like, I don't understand why he only sees his therapist once a month. Kitty Bennett, there are things going on over here, and you need to stop being perfect. Excuse me. I needed to yell at my perfect child. Anyway, he sees his doctor at the end of the book, and his doctor starts making a lot of sense. His therapist, I mean, and he's like, you're making sense, and I don't like it. The other things, there's so many things. This book, I mean, obviously, 50 Shades of Grey is the most problematic, and this just makes it more so. Like, I feel like if E.L. James wants to be known, excuse me, I have tails hitting me. If E.L. James wants to be known as not being problematic and writing things that are problematic, this was not the way to go. Because when I read 50 Shades of Grey, and I read all 3 of them because I needed to know if I hated them or not. Guess what? I hate them. It was already problematic there. And it wasn't just because Anastasia Steele's really, really, really stupid. But the most interesting character was Christian Grey, and it was from the mystery and not really knowing what was going on in his head and stuff. And this just was proof that he's the worst person on the planet. The last person you ever want to fall in love with. And also, there's a weird line of like, is she really in love with him, or does she just like the sex? And even then, like, it's not BDSM sex. Like, it's just sex. And that's something I feel like a man would write, because he would just be like, sex and being in love, isn't that just the same thing? Ugh, I'm angry just thinking that. I hate this book. So, what else can I say? Let's find some lines here, shall we? Well, there's a good like 3 pages in here that's just the contract. Also, I got halfway through the book and they hadn't even like established their relationship, because he wants her to be his submissive. Halfway through the book, they hadn't even talked about the terms, and they already had sex like 3 or 4 times. I'm pretty sure you already just like literally screwed yourself into a corner, Christian Grey, by not having the contract set out. And also, his first thought to finding out that she's a virgin was like, now I gotta fuck her. I have to fuck her. I gotta do it. And then any moment on from there, he's like, oh, well, I was there first. She's mine. No. That's so unhealthy. Oh, it's so unhealthy. So unhealthy. Like, there's a romantic notion to it for people who are not like this. Like, people who want to save themselves from marriage. Beautiful. Love it. Thank you. You do what you want. But just was like, this is, now I've marked my territory. This is mine. She can only be mine. Blah, blah, blah. And then, just in complete contrast to that, she wants more. She wants a relationship. And he's like, oh, I don't do hearts and flowers. I don't make love. I fuck hard. Actual lines. I'm not even joking. Actual lines from this book. And then he does stupid things for her. He buys her like flowers and balloons, and he takes her on like a gliding trip, and it's just like, okay, you're doing exactly what she wants, even though you say you don't understand what a real relationship means. If you have cats, you know that they just get into everything, and they don't care that you're doing stuff. They're like, it's only about me. Just me. You don't, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's fine, kitty. I wish I could set Kitty. Kitty, no. I wish I could set this book on fire, but I can't do that. I'm mad that I paid money for it because it's at my local library and I didn't know because I forgot libraries existed. So I'm gonna resell this so fast. Anyway. Just the whole thing baffles me. It was just 558 pages of him going, I don't do hearts and flowers. I don't know what more is. I'm such a monster. I'm so 50 shades of fucked up. And she's like, oh, I just want more. I just want a relationship, but I'm also willing to try it your way. And he's like, a vanilla relationship, vanilla sex. That's not what I do, baby. Laters, baby. And she's like, oh, well, we can do it. Like, we can be in the red room of pain. And it's like, oh, my playroom. Yeah. And like, it might be fun. I want to die. I hope you enjoyed my impressions. Well, I'm going to spoil stuff for you. I get to maybe 40 pages away from the book, and so he finally, like, I mean, for lack of better wording, he essentially, well, he belts her. He just belts her with a belt, and she doesn't like it, and she gets angry, and she cries, and she runs away. I mean, understandable, and he doesn't understand why she's crying, and then there's still like 20 pages left, and I was like, why are there still 20 pages left? And he doesn't see how potentially troubling that is for some people. And the book just didn't end. There's still 20 more pages about how he's trying to get her back. Because it turns out he does want more. And he thinks that he's having these uncomfortable feelings for her. He doesn't know what they mean and blah, blah, blah. So angry. So angry that I cannot unread this book. So I'm going to go off into a little different tangent here. I read a book about a serial killer right after this because I was trying to get the taste of this out of my brain. You can't just pour like bleach into your ears and like scrub it out. So I read a book about a serial killer right after because I was like, I need to feel something different. And I finished it because it was really good. And I felt gross and disgusting, but in an entirely different way. But the fact that I got those same feelings from this book as I did by a book about a serial killer, an actual serial killer, like, that's not okay. Like, the vibes both felt the same, and I felt sorrier for the serial killer. Anyway, this book was, I gave it 1 star, like, just because the only enjoyment I got out of it was sending pages to my friend. And if I can remember the quotes, I'm going to put them in the description box below, and you get to read them with your own eyes, but with no context, because that's even better. So, I love you guys. Thanks for watching this mess and watching me yell at my cats. This book is a big yikes. Big yikes. I read it for you so you wouldn't have to. The next book on the big yikes is going to be the one by Kylie and Kendall Jenner. I believe it's called The City of Indra. That's the next book I'm going to torment myself with in this big yikes series. Say goodbye to this book. You're never going to see it again. It's never going to be on my shelf. I hate it. 50 Shades of fucked up but angry. Ugh, bitter. Yeah, that was me throwing it. You felt it. The ripple effect. Okay, yeah, I need to stop. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. Not goodbye. Well, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I know I'm a mess, but that's okay. Yeah, subscribe, tell your friends, like, dislike, leave comments. I love it. Okay, the clicker's not working now, so we're just gonna sit here awkwardly. Work.